Hi everybody, this is Professor Quine. I'm recording this webinar on March 12th of 2014. This is about the reflective letter. The reflective letter is part of your e-portfolio. So I want to do the reflective letter first. I want to go over the reflective letter first so that you can begin writing it. And then I will publish another webinar about the e-portfolio. And the e-portfolio doesn't just contain the reflective letter, but all of your written work from this semester. If you're in Ring 92, that would be all of your essays. If you're in Ring 91, your paragraphs and your essay. So anyway, and also, and so I'll get to that in another webinar. I don't want to go too far with all of that information. Let's focus on the reflective letter. I am as you can see, right now I am on my Ring 92 1013 Blackboard site. I've already loaded that Blackboard site with the reflective letter folder. And where do you find that? You slide down to the ePortfolio button on the site, and then when you click on that, it opens up to this page, and for now all you see is a folder dedicated to the reflective letter. Eventually you'll also see one about the ePortfolio, but this helps to focus you. The first thing I want you to do, and by the way, all of you will have a similar setup, whether you're in Ring 91 or 92. You'll click on the ePortfolio button on your course site and you'll see a reflective letter folder. This just happens to be a 92 site. There you see, and I want you to carefully read this, a note to you. The reflective letter is part of the ePortfolio. Your ePortfolio is due on your section's final exam date. And remember, as of this recording, I don't know what your exam date's going to be. I have a rough idea of when it's going to be. I know the week of exams. That's on the academic calendar on the BCCC website. But the college publishes an actual schedule of exam dates and times. So I haven't seen it yet. So when I see it, I'll let you know. But this is due on your exam date. To gain access to this folder, click on its title. So we'll do that in a second. Then print out everything and read the information that you've printed out. Then listen to the reflective letter webinar, which is this, okay? Let's see, we'll move on from there. The ePortfolio webinar will be posted later. Remember that in writing the reflective letter, you are demonstrating more than your ability to develop, organize, and proofread. You are demonstrating your ability to critically think, follow directions, and analyze an audience, okay? And you've got to remember it's really all about the audience. That is so important, okay? You have to please the audience. For Ring 92 students, I've attached a little note here. I say, does this letter, when you start reading about it, sound as though it is similar to your Essay 1 assignment? Couldn't you update some of the information you included in Essay 1 for use in this letter assignment? Let's see. Let's go in there and read about the reflective letter and see if you could possibly also maybe borrow some information from Essay 1. Okay, so I'm going to click on the title here. And that leads me into the folder, which contains 3 files. The RL directions, meaning reflective letter directions, the RL model reviewed in webinar, I'll show you that in a second, and the rubric. Okay, here are the directions. I'm going to click on these. Please print these out when you get into the folder, okay? Print them out. All right, reflective letter directions. I'll show you the rubric in a second. Your instructor cannot review the letter until he or she sees it in your ePortfolio. So if you need help with the letter, you're expected by this point to know how to use NetTutor, to get advice, to have like a little network of people who can look at your writing and give you advice on it. Your letter has to conclude with a signed statement. I pledge that all the writing included in the attached portfolio is my own. The length of the letter, 1 single-space typewritten page with 1-inch margins, formatted in full block letter style. I'll show you what that is. Use Times New Roman 12-point black font, and I'll show you all of that. Placement of letter to be discussed in an upcoming webinar on the ePortfolio. So I'll show you how to put it in the ePortfolio. Your letter's salutation is Dear Portfolio Committee, a committee will be looking at your writing. Remember, this is something you've got to really pay attention to, because if we start seeing a bunch of errors in here that you were supposed to have overcome in your class, comma error, spelling, whatever, that's a real red flag. So you got to be careful here. Make sure your letter is really polished. And I tell you in each of the paragraphs what you put in. For paragraph 1, tell the reader about your academic and career goals and the way in which your RENG class has assisted you in achieving these goals. Paragraph 2, assess your progress as a writer. And I give you some ideas here about things that you could talk about. You could talk about what writing skills you've mastered, how you feel about revisions, so on and so forth. Okay, paragraph 3, assess your strengths and weaknesses as a student. Again, in parentheses there, you see some ideas that I've given you about things you could talk about. And then paragraph 4, thank the committee for the opportunity to present your e-portfolio. Offer the committee a means of contacting you should the committee have questions. Don't forget to include the pledge, which is the third bulleted item up here, which is I pledge that all the writing included in the attached portfolio is my own. Put that pledge in the fourth paragraph. I didn't mean to say letter. Fourth paragraph of the letter. Again, how many paragraphs did I say your letter should have? Did I say it should be 1? No. 2? No. 3? No. 4? Yes. Not 5, not 6, not a spare line after the fourth. I want 4 paragraphs. And if I don't see 4 paragraphs, just 4 paragraphs with the salutation and some of the, the signature and stuff, you haven't followed the directions, so be very careful. Letter writing tip. In business writing, reader-centeredness is cultivated through something called you attitude. Writings with good you attitude make direct reference to the reader by using you or some version of you, for example, your, at least 3 times per typewritten page. Did you hear that? Okay, it's right there. All right, so remember that. We need to see that you attitude in there. Print that out, so that you have a copy of it. Let's go back to our Blackboard site. And there's the model I'll go over in a second. I wanted to show you the rubric really fast. This is the way the reflective letter will be graded. By the way, your writings, your essays, your paragraphs will also be graded by rubric, and I'll post that soon. And here you can see how much each of these areas is worth. Format is 1.5 points, content worth 3.5 points, expression and literacy 5 points. That's proofreading and editing stuff, grammar, things like that. So that's where we're coming down heavy. So, and you can see how you get an A, what you have to do, a B, a C, so on and so forth. Okay, so print that out and get used to it. All right, read it over. All right, let's go to that model. This is an imperfect model. Let me take you through this quickly. Remember, YouTube only allows me 15 minutes and the clock is ticking. This is full block format. Everything is to the left. Do you see? Everything's at the left-hand margin. There's no centering anything or anything like that. Everything hits the left margin. This is Times New Roman 12-point font. This is single spacing with double spacing between items. For instance, right here, do you see this symbol right here? That's where you double space. You have a double space between these items. Another double space right here, so on and so forth. That's why we call it block. Do you see the blocks? The blocks of text here? You don't need to indent the first line of every paragraph. We already see what's a paragraph because we have double spacing between the paragraphs, not within, right? Okay, you can borrow this address if you want to. If you don't want to post your address, that's fine. The date that you'll put there will be the date you're submitting your e-portfolio. Everybody use this address right here. Everybody use this salutation. And please note that it ends in a what? A colon, not a comma, a colon. In business writing, you use a colon at the end of your salutation. If this were, a letter to your, cousin Charlie or something, you would put a comma there, but this is professional writing. All right, if you look at the very first paragraph, I've got notes over here. Okay, so make sure you read all those notes because I can't go through all of this because I'm on a timer, as I said. But notice that we start off with a thank you. We get you attitude in there already, okay? And we're easing the reader in. We're thanking the reader, for giving us this opportunity to present our qualifications situations. We go through and we answer all of those questions that you're supposed to put into paragraph 1 about your academic and career goals and how your class, and here we refer to it as ING 81. It would be RENG 91 now. Okay, we renumbered things. If I get a chance, I'll go in and change that, hopefully, before I finish posting all of this stuff on the Blackboard sites. But read this over. I mean, one thing I do note here, you should be avoiding contractions, all right? Now, student has a great transition here. The last thing the student mentioned to us up here was about wanting to go into nursing. And notice how we have this lovely transition into by the time I become a nurse into second paragraph. Some errors, we've got a contraction, and here's a run-on sentence, and then we start to crumble. We have misspellings and things like that, and those are huge red flags to the reader that we're in trouble. So be careful of all of that, okay? Here's a comma splice. You guys were supposed to overcome your comma splice and run-on errors, right? So that's a huge problem. Here's another comma splice, so right? A lot of students, when they looked over this fourth paragraph, felt that starting off by saying well was a little too casual. So I would say I would agree with that, and I think you should get rid of that well. Just say thank you again for reading over my portfolio, or for our purposes, e-portfolio, right? Feel free to email me at, if you have any questions, there's the email address, and there's the pledge. The pledge is not separate from the paragraph. The pledge is the last line of that fourth paragraph. And again, look at those 4 paragraphs again. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Yes, you have an inside address and a date and a salutation, but for the actual letter, we have 4 paragraphs. We end with that pledge, and then we do a sincerely comma, and you do 2 double spaces right here. It gives you 4 spaces, 4 lines, and then you type your name. And then right here, what I did was I typed the name in, Keisha McIntyre, using like a cursive font, like a handwriting font. You can just, flip around through your font styles to choose one, but it looks like she actually signed, and you want to do that too, and then do attachment portfolio. Okay, so here's a model for you. It is not a perfect model for a reason, because I wanted to go over the errors that students commonly make so that you can avoid them too. So there you go. There's the reflective letter. So you can go ahead and get started with that. And as you do that, I will start thinking about how I want to handle the ePortfolio webinar, because there's no way I can do it in just 15 minutes. So that's probably going to be more than one webinar actually. Hope you found this helpful. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.